Next on Worcester News tonight, a 16-year-old is facing charges after he allegedly stole a hearse from an area funeral home and crashed it. We have the details. Plus, a special dedication ceremony is held at the Worcester County House of Corrections New Garden. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Anna Botari. More on those stories in just a moment. But first, a beautiful day across central Massachusetts. Will the nice weather stretch into the weekend? Let's get a first look at our local forecast to find out.
Yeah, it's a pretty nice day today. We have some storms off to the west. That indicates warmer, more humid air trying to come at us, but it's going to take a couple of days. There's also an ocean storm. For the first time in a couple of days, we made it past 80 at the airport today, low 80s. And there are just these tiny little thunder showers around in spots. If you do have one this evening, it evaporates pretty quickly. Tomorrow morning, a few clouds on the outer Cape with that storm at sea going away. If you're headed for one of the beaches, it's a fine day. Sunscreen tomorrow, sunburn factor about an 8 out of 10 at the beach. Now, this number for Worcester is really at the airport. Downtown, we're going to be about 80 by 12:45, and you see these little green dots. Once again, there's not a lot of wind, so it's going to tend to come from the east around Boston. It's going to tend to come from the northwest in New Hampshire, and it's going to tend to come from the southwest in Connecticut. That's convergence, and there's instability, so that's why you can get a shower or even a brief thunderstorm tomorrow, lower 80s. On Sunday, it goes back close to 90. Humidity comes up, and we'll talk about some heat for next week in the 10-day in a few minutes.
Northbridge teens are facing some charges after police say they took a joyride in a stolen hearse. The funeral home has been forced to make changes to their operations and say the incident is disrespectful and upsetting. Our Chandler Walsh has more on that story. Chandler?
Anna, police say the teens didn't make it very far. They say they turned onto a main road, sped through an intersection, and crashed into a community center wall. A stone wall is wrecked, and a Northbridge funeral home is down a hearse. Gerald Jackman says two teens stole one of his vehicles early Thursday morning and crashed it down the street.
I would like to think that people would be a little more respectful and reverent, but you know, it's a modern world now, and I don't know what was going through kids' minds.
Jackman says the vehicle is a minivan used to transport funeral flowers. He says his fleet is housed in a garage, but this vehicle was temporarily locked in the driveway.
This one had an issue with the emergency brake, so our mechanic was going to go over there and work on it. That's why it was outside in the parking lot. And I don't know how they got in. I don't know how they started it.
Police say a 16-year-old was driving about 60 miles per hour and drove straight through a stop sign. Sheila Brennan lives nearby and says it's not the first time someone crashed into the wall.
About a year ago, a construction truck that was in there working, and that smashed into part of the wall.
The teens are facing charges. The driver suffered serious injuries but is expected to be okay. Some in town say the teens' actions are disrespectful above all else.
I can't believe that they would have been able to even find a hearse or to get it. That's so unusual.
It's the summer months. Kids might have too much time on their hands, and this was something that they were looking to do to pass the time.
Jackman will be relying on his other vehicles and help from nearby funeral homes, but says the ordeal is disturbing.
You know, you think a lot of people would be creeped out or a little hesitant to take a vehicle from a funeral home.
Now again, Jackman says he isn't sure how the teens got into the vehicle. He says it was locked and the keys were also locked away in a safe place. In Worcester, Chandler Walsh, Worcester News Tonight.
A Spencer man has been deemed too dangerous for bail after an alleged armed carjacking and struggle with police back in November. According to the Worcester County District Attorney, 28-year-old Donald Foy has been ruled dangerous and held without bail for up to 180 days. Foy allegedly sped off from a traffic stop in Webster, leading police on a chase up I-395 to Worcester. The Spencer man is facing a long list of charges, including armed assault with intent to murder, multiple counts of assault and battery on a police officer, and carjacking. Foy is due back in court on September 6th. The opioid epidemic has been an issue on the forefront for the city of Worcester for years. But a recent study from the Drug Enforcement Administration is looking at how it all started and shows Worcester saw the highest number of opioid prescribed pills in all of New England. Our Brittany Schaefer joins us now live with the details. Brittany?
In 7 years, which is higher than neighboring Boston and Springfield. A state rep says this is one of Worcester's biggest problems.
In the years leading up to the opioid epidemic, Worcester saw the highest number of opioid prescriptions in New England. A study from the Drug Enforcement Administration reveals 49 million opioids were distributed to Worcester pharmacies from 2006 to 2012.
Worcester was one of the few cities when we looked at the trends about increase in opioid deaths. The statewide was down, but Worcester was up. And really, I believe that this report has a correlation to that.
The study shows Worcester has more than 4 times the amount of prescribed opioid pills than Boston. 17th Worcester District State Representative David LaBeouf has filed 2 bills this year to combat the issue.
Require all physicians to essentially have an informed consent document when they're talking to someone before prescribing an opioid prescription. That would mean talking about interactions with other substances like alcohol, any type of substances related to if someone has a psychiatric drug or any other type of painkiller, and also offering alternatives. Another bill that I have about medical insurance for medical marijuana.
Counseling and Assessment Clinic of Worcester offers mental health treatment, including substance addiction recovery. Assistant Director Bridget Hilton says she isn't surprised by the study based on the amount of work they do in the community.
This year we've had more clients than we've had in past years, so I think that is a sign that A, there's more awareness about these issues, but B, that the crisis, the tide hasn't turned yet on the crisis. It can be very debilitating. I mean, there are people who have opioid addictions and are able to function to somewhat normal degree in society, and then there's people for whom it is completely debilitating.
LaBeouf says the epidemic needs to be a top priority.
It's something that is at the core of a lot of the issues that we're seeing, whether it's childhood removals from homes, the addiction issue is contributing to homelessness.
LaBeouf says the informed consent bill will hopefully have a hearing in September. Brittany Schaefer, Worcester News Tonight.
A bill sponsored by 1st Worcester District Senator Harriet Chandler unanimously passes banning child marriage. The Senate passed the bill, which mandates Massachusetts not allow anyone under the age of 18 to marry, regardless of parental consent. The current law allows a marriage license with parent consent. A special dedication ceremony was held outside the Worcester County House of Corrections to honor a correctional officer. David Gallagher, who passed away in May, plays a big role in starting the farm at the jail. Friday, the 12-acre farm was named in his honor. Over the past 9 years, the farm has produced food for not only the inmates, but they've been able to donate to food pantries, community groups, and area senior centers. Sheriff Lou Evangelitis says Gallagher's leadership also led to inmates learning valuable skills on the farm.
In the 9 years I've been sheriff now, he took that program from a beginning, very beginning of 10 acres where we got maybe 10, 15,000 pounds of food, and now we're farming almost 15 acres and we're getting 30 to 40,000 pounds of food. It teaches inmates the skills to grow the very crop here and gives them a sense of dignity and self-respect.
Dave didn't look for praise, pats on the back. Dave just looked to do what was right.
To date, they've donated more than 100,000 pounds of produce. A local professor has made some big discoveries about the Armenian genocide. Clark University history professor Taner Akçam discovered 2 Turkish telegrams and a letter, which refer to a decision to exterminate groups of Armenians. The documents were written in 1914 and 1915. 1.5 million Armenians were systematically killed during and after World War I. Akçam says his findings show there was a conscious decision to annihilate the Ottoman Empire's Armenian population.
Turkish government over decades has claimed and still claims that there is no one single original Ottoman documents clearly show the genocidal intent of Ottoman authorities, and here they are.
Akçam was able to match the signatures on the documents to Ottoman politician Bahadur Shakir. Veterans Inc. helping out a fellow veteran with a special gift. After falling on what she calls personal hardships, Navy veteran Brittany sought out services through the organization. With a place to stay, she was still without a car until today. Veterans Inc. chose Brittany as the recipient of a vehicle donation. She says she's grateful for the gift.
It's nice, it's beautiful, it's it's big, and definitely enough room for me and my kids.
Veterans Inc. says there's an application process each veteran must go through before being considered. They're asked questions like what they would use the car for and how it would change their lives. The committee says after reading Brittany's application, they felt she'd be a good match.
Change her life immensely. Many veterans have doctor's appointments that they have to be at for their health and their mental health, and all our veterans would need cars, and this is going to change her life with her 2 children.
The Vehicles for Vets program started in 2009 and accepts cars 10 years old or less with under 150,000 miles.